Good morning or afternoon or evening, depending on what time of the day you're listening to this episode of Freshly Grounded. My name is Faisal and this is episode 61 of Freshly Grounded. Now, guys, listen, I know you're going to be angry because you're hearing my voice again and you're saying, oh, Faisal, enough. We don't want to hear you anymore. Where is Big Man Sam? And guys, I know I said that Sam would be on the episode this week, but unfortunately he dropped me a message yesterday. He wasn't able to make it. He is still being a dad, which is a full-time thing. Like, he is a dad. You know what I mean? May Allah bless him and his child. As you guys know, he just recently had a new kid. And new kid, like, it's just something you buy. I got a new kid today. He just had a new baby boy, alhamdulillah. And so, he's just, breaking it in. Like, not the kid, but like just being a dad again. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, he's on paternity leave, basically. He has said, though, that he will be back next week. He literally said that to me. So, inshallah, next week he'll be back. However, we do have a guest on this episode. And I know what you're thinking. Faisal, we don't want to hear any more of you. But let me tell you guys something. What is better than one Faisal? Two Faisals. Alhamdulillah, we're joined by another Faisal. You might know him as the Smiling Ack on Instagram. He is a social influencer of sorts. He's a university student right now, 20-year-old Faisal Nazir. And he is a poet. That's mainly what he does. If you go to his Instagram, he has poems, small stories, anecdotes on his Instagram page. Check them out. They're really cool. They're really interesting. And he's kind of documenting the life of a young Muslim, but it's very, very relatable content. He has just released a book as well called Finding Nectar with My Poison, which you can find on Amazon. And so this is a nice discussion. We talk about poetry, we speak about mental health, and we go into a few other topics. We do end up talking a bit about the World Cup, the old footy, while we have current events with producer Nate. And without any further ado, this podcast is brought to you by 59. That's 50_NINE on Instagram. 59 Stanhope Road in Hertfordshire, St Albans. Or I should actually say St Albans, Hertfordshire. It's a cafe that sells freshly ground coffee, freshly squeezed cold pressed juices, smoothies, fresh smoothies, salads, snacks, you name it. When it comes to anything cafe related, they do it. And if you go to 59 and quote freshly grounded, get yourself £1 off. And so please do make sure you do so. Also brought to you by Izaha.com. That's IZAHA.com. It's your one-stop shop for Arabic style caps, hats, t-shirts. Check it out. Go type in Freshly Grounded in your cart and you'll get 20% off. And lastly, brought to you by FeedSource. Go to feedsource.com if you're a business or a brand and you want to get top quality social media content like the likes of Instagram, like the likes of Hilton, like the likes of Deliveroo, Adidas. These are all companies that we've worked with in the past. FeedSource creates content for brands and businesses at an affordable price and on a monthly retainer. And you can cancel at any time. There's no subscription. You can cancel whenever you want. There's no contracts. So do check that out. That's feedsource.com. Lastly but not leastly, guys, please make sure you are subscribed to us on iTunes. Leave us a review on iTunes if you listen to us on iTunes. Subscribe to us on YouTube. It makes a big difference for us to be able to track our audience. If you hit that subscribe button, it takes a couple of seconds, but it makes a big difference. Even if you don't listen to us on YouTube and you listen to us on iTunes, it would still make a big difference if you just go over to YouTube, find Freshly Grounded and hit that subscribe button. If you don't have a YouTube account, create yourself an account. And do that. And Patreon is my final reminder. We have a Patreon account, which means you can support us. You can also get extra content and support the podcast, man. If you like what we're doing and you think that's beneficial, head over to patreon.com. That's patreon.com/freshly grounded, and you can support our podcast for as little as £5 a month, and you're able to just help us out, support the podcast, help us carry on doing what we're doing. If you want to sponsor the podcast, I forgot to mention, head over to freshlygrounded.com/partner, I believe, and you can get all the information about sponsorships, and you get sent a sponsorship pack from our team. If you made it this far in the intro, congratulations, well done. And without any further ado, this is Freshly Grounded, episode 61 with the Smiling Ack. And welcome to Freshly Grounded, the brand new podcast by best friends Faisal and Sam.
Huh?
I said welcome to Freshly Grounded,
No, after that bit.
the brand new podcast
And after that bit?
by best friends Faisal and Sam.
Really?
Cool, we are all on. Hello. Yeah, it works.
We are live. I had my coffee for the first time this morning. Normally I have a coffee before I leave for work, but I was running late today. Why was I running late today, you might ask? Well, your boy is packing his football kit. That's right, Nate.
Excuse me?
I'm going for football today.
Really?
Coming home after work.
Seriously?
With
who?
So I was packing my football kit. Why don't you come?
You just told me now.
I thought it would have been mentioned to you.
No, who you going with?
Like Only in that.
How was it?
Yeah.
They never mentioned anything to me. They just never want me to play.
It's just too good.
I think that's the reason,
It's a
yeah.
bit awkward really now. But
Forgive me.
maybe you're just not good enough because I'm a tank when it comes to football.
Where is it?
I play the most important position imaginable. I'm the
Goal.
goalkeeper.
Yeah.
And I've packed my gloves. I've packed my padded goalkeeper trousers. I've packed my AstroTurf shoes, my football socks. Your boy's gonna kill it. So that's happening today.
Where is it?
Acton, apparently. Yeah. I've
I
never
just
been,
have to
I've
show
never
up,
been to the Acton one.
Play against you.
Yeah, come.
Yeah, with my tracksuit.
Have you got football shoes?
No, I
But-
go barefoot.
Well, you have football shoes. You own football shoes. It's just not. You
Yeah,
don't really
at
need
home. Ready for pre-season.
you. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's alright though. Enough talking about me.
Yeah, listen. I'm a lad, and what us lads do is we play football. We play a bit of the old footy, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm a lad, but more importantly, I'm going to make him not feel. I'm going to stop making him feel so awkward because we haven't even looked at him yet. We are joined by one and only the Smiling Ack,
Smiling Ack, yep, that's me, I'm here.
aka Faisal.
A.K. Faisal.
Faisal, there's two Faisals here.
Faisal squared.
Alhamdulillah, how you doing, bro? You good?
Alhamdulillah, man, I'm good. How you doing?
Alhamdulillah. So, bro, it's been a minute that, like, kind of, we've been in each other's spaces, but haven't actually had a chance to connect. So, as people are listening to this right now, this is literally our first time ever connecting, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, because we met last year at the Izaha event, but that was very briefly.
Yes, I remember
It was
that.
just Islam, how are you?
Yeah, we met at the
etc.
Enlight event, yeah. And was that the only time we've met?
That's the only time we've met. But
Oh,
we've
really?
messaged a couple of times.
Yeah.
Since 2016, so
Okay.
it's been coming.
Yeah. How did we first ever stir up a discussion on the old DMs?
I think I was a fan of the vlogs, and
Oh,
I was
really?
just like, Salam, bro, you're Pakistani, I'm Pakistani, you're from London, I'm from London.
You're called Faisal.
You're called Faisal, I'm called Faisal. You know, you're creative, I'm creative. Like, maybe
Wow.
we're just some sort of long lost cousins or something.
Maybe.
Like, maybe.
We should get that checked.
We should get that checked. Maybe, yeah. We both got the bear genes,
Yeah.
so
Chances are we're cousins.
Could be, yeah.
Realistically.
Yeah.
If we're being honest with ourselves, you're probably my cousin. At least.
I'll see you at a wedding.
If not my
probably.
uncle.
Yeah.
Maybe. You could be my uncle. You know, Pakistani culture is like, I don't know, this is probably in all cultures,
I don't
but
get that,
sometimes
yeah.
like I have this uncle who is like 10. And
I
like,
remember you telling me that.
yeah. So basically, this kid, he's like 10 years old, yeah, and he's my uncle, yeah. All right, all good, and like we joke about it sometimes, but I think he like really loves it, and so he comes up to me, and whenever we're like in a family thing, and he's like 10.
So
yeah?
do you have to call him Mamu?
No, I don't. I just call him by his name because he's so much younger than me by like almost like 20 years, yeah, probably not 20 years, but a good like 10, 15 years.
Oh my gosh.
And like he loves to remind me that he's my uncle, like a lot, like to the point where it's a bit, whoa. He loves it, mashallah. He's a beautiful kid, but he just likes to. Oh, Faisal, remember, like I'm your uncle. I'm your uncle. I'm like, Yes, we know. But yeah, do you have that in your family? Do you have any uncles that are like 10 years younger than you?
Alhamdulillah, I don't. It's mostly like in chronological age order, which makes more sense. But you do
does.
get that distant uncle that.
You know what happened with me is that my nan, her dad had like a got married again like a lot off like years and years after his first wife and after you know he had my nan and stuff, so he had like another set of children like I think like very much so later on in his life, and therefore that's why, so like those aunties and stuff are having children now.
True.
And so now I have uncles. I might, but it's possible that I could have an uncle born like
possible
after like now. I could still have more uncles and aunties that are going to be that literally aren't born yet.
That's Pakistani, Asian, South Asian culture for you, to be honest.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's weird, isn't it?
Do you have any of that?
No.
Or your uncles and aunties are older than you?
I actually don't have any uncles. I have aunts that they are all older than me.
Enough,
do you call people uncle that are like older than you?
Yeah,
like other than me.
That you do obviously have that bit of respect in our culture as well. Like all the older guys and aunts, women are auntie and uncle anyway. So even the women in the shop are called auntie and stuff. So.
Oh really?
Yeah, old little Jamaican lady.
Yeah, we do that as well. I am actually
Greg's.
There was like this like phase, I don't know if it still exists, where like people were calling people their own age uncle, like out of a show of respect. Does that still happen?
Not that I know of. No.
Have you ever heard of that?
No.
A few years ago that was happening, bro. People call each other unk.
Got called nephew by the guy in the shop.
Nephew, yeah, Neff. Neff.
Fair enough.
I've been called Neff by a few people.
He was an uncle himself. That makes sense.
It does make sense.
Yeah.
But so that's the as is culture, Abdullah. Faisal, so you're on Instagram. So let's like dig into like you as well. So like we were saying before, we haven't really connected properly, and so it's fair to say that it's like a very clean sheet. We probably know very little about each other, and so. I think the initial question I want to ask, so that we can like even just understand you as a person, is how did you go from 0 to like 40,000 Instagram followers? What is it that you do? What's your like specific thing? Is it poetry?
It's poetry.
Okay.
Yeah. So it all started when I was in my first year of college. Like I'd have a 1 hour bus journey to college. And all day, like all through the journey, I'd be on Instagram, and suddenly I came across a lot of quotes and some more motivational quotes.
So at this point, you were just a normal Instagrammer, like us self-obsessed people.
I was just a normal, just posting my selfies and that's it. And I came across a lot of quotes, and it just made me start to think about life a bit more. And I came across poetry, and I was like, wow, I can really relate to this. And part of me was like, I wish I wrote this. And I've never really been good at English, you know. At GCSE, I got a B.
Really?
I've always been the more maths and science type of guy. And I was just like, it's poetry for me. Am I really good at it? You know, will it work for me? So I think this was about December 2014. And I was just like, you know what? Let me start somewhere, you know. I can't write. I don't know how to write poetry. Got a couple lessons in GCSE English. But let's just go for it. And I just started an Instagram account, followed a couple writers, they followed me back.
What did you call your Instagram account?
The Smiling Aki.
Okay, so
I started off as the Smiling Aki, which I realized a year and a half later is grammatically incorrect, because that translates to the Smiling My Brother, because Aki is my brother.
But Ak doesn't mean brother though, does it?
Ak means brother.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because Aki is like my brother. So if I'm like,
are you sure Ak isn't just like a slang short version? Like in actual Arabic language, does Ak mean brother?
I think so, yeah.
Oh.
So like, no, because I got a lot of messages and people were like, your name's grammatically incorrect. So I was like, okay, fair enough. Let me just remove the I if it affects you that much.
Yeah.
So I just started off with my Instagram account. I didn't know what to name it. Like I started off and loads of people have like Faisal Writes or Bilal Writes or Ahmed's Thoughts or whatnot. And I was just like, okay, I'm my brother, so that's Aki. And I was like, what's one thing I do a lot? And loads of people say, I smile a lot. And it's something I've always done ever since I was young. Subconsciously, I've always been a very smiley, bubbly person. So I was just like, the smiling act, let's just go for it. So I started following a couple writers. They followed me back, and 3.5 years later, here I am. Like, it's definitely
freshly grounded. You made it big time, man.
Made it
in this little studio.
I like to thank my mum, my dad.
Bro, so right, so on if you go to your Instagram page, there isn't, and I kind of just mentioned now, but there isn't many like selfies, and you're not an influencer in the sense of like, and I said like us self-obsessed people, but it kind of is true. Like a lot of people you see on social media, including myself, it's just like a documentary of their own life, whereas yours seems very different. Or perhaps it is documentary of your life, but in written form rather than picture form.
Yeah.
But being someone who never had experience in poetry, wasn't only got a B, wasn't like amazingly like obsessed with English. How was your poetry first received then? How was it first received by people who follow you?
I was actually quite surprised. I thought, okay, people aren't going to really make much of it. No one's really going to read my work. Who knows me? I'm just a 17-year-old nobody. But I got 1 like, then I got 10, then 100, then I got 5 comments, then 10. And people were quite positive about it. People really received my work quite positively. And initially I started off anonymously, so nobody knew my name, who I was, my face. Nobody knew anything about me until about a year later when I hit about 10,000. So imagine me going to college and all my college friends are like, oh, have you heard of that smiling act guy? He does this poetry. And I'm just there like, yeah, he's really good, isn't he? Because nobody knew it was me. So it was sort of almost like another identity, another world for me to step in.
That sounds really fun.
Where I can express myself creatively through my poetry. And in doing so, help myself, which was initially the main idea, to sort of express my own feelings and my own thoughts. But then the motive sort of moved to helping others, because I realized it helps others so much. I used to get DMs about people saying how it almost gave a voice to them when they were voiceless, and how I felt when I could relate to somebody else's poetry, somebody had that effect with my poetry. And I was like, this is more than just words on the paper. This is a story. This is almost like a guide for someone else's journey, for them to follow and for them to better themselves and understand them and their emotions better.
So your poetry, did it originally and does it now rhyme, or is it like just like more like, because I know poetry doesn't necessarily have to rhyme, right? So
my poetry has mostly been rhyming, and I don't know, I feel like when it rhymes it just flows better and it just sounds better in your head. But over the years I've explored different themes of poetry, so I've gone into rhyming. I've done a bit of storytelling, for example, with novels. I've moved on to shorter forms of poetry, longer forms of poetry, and definitely I've just developed different styles and just explored every single avenue within poetry. Yeah. And
what are some of your, like, I'd love to hear, like, do you have like favorite, like, do you know any off the top of your head? Not that I want to hear right now, but I'm saying what I would like to see maybe is on your Instagram page, what's some of your like best received ones? I was trying to go through it yesterday, and unfortunately on Instagram there's no filter where you can like check like
I can do that. I can do that on my account. I can check the most.
Oh, can you? Yeah. Let's do that.
We've got the,
of course,
the impressions and all that.
But let's do. I want to see like the poetry that's been like the most, I suppose, like liked or best received.
So it's a variety of different themes. So it relates from like mental health to heartbreak to social issues, religious issues, cultural issues, just exploring anything and everything in the world of a young Muslim living in London.
While you look for that, I'm going to read one out of yours, which I haven't read yet, so it might make you blush.
Alright.
But I'm going to read it. I haven't read it yet. Yeah. So you posted this on June 7th, and it said, "Things don't always work out the way you want them to, and that's not always necessarily a bad thing. You see, the lesson in life is to just trust, to believe that everything that is meant to happen for you will happen. And that despite the journey being so difficult, with the constant ups and downs, laughters and tears, everything happens for a reason, and precisely that because without all of the bad, you wouldn't have found yourself finding all the good. So remember, life is never going to be perfect. It's about finding ways to make life perfect. And the beauty is that you never achieve it, but along the way, you make memories, you meet people, and most importantly, you grow. This life can never be perfectly planned, nor will everything make sense. But you'll find your place, and eventually, you'll be okay.
Definitely, yeah.
That's powerful, man. But that didn't rhyme, did it?
No.
Okay, so they don't all rhyme.
No, yeah.
And what will make you write something like this? Is it like the fact will you be going through something,
yeah,
and it will make you write something like this out?
Yeah, I think about 95% of my posts are personal, and they're based off the personal feelings that I feel on that day. So almost my page is almost like a diary entry for me. So when I go through every single day, I can see what I felt on that day. And
wow, bro,
what it made me write.
The comments as well, like people write stuff like, literally came at the perfect time, I needed this.
I've received DMs, and it's like people message me and they're like, I made dua to Allah
to show me a way.
And suddenly you posted a minute later and your words resonated with me. Your words helped me in X, Y, and Z ways. And it makes you feel almost as though an influencer or as a micro-influencer that you have some purpose, some worth in this world. And that through your words and through what you write on the page, it could save somebody's life. It could bring somebody from sadness to happiness. It could bring someone clarity to make a decision.
I'm hearing that, man.
Yeah.
I'm hearing that. Where's the line, though, between this, which from what I'm seeing is amazing and beautiful, to writing something that might be very generic? Because your stuff, from what I can see, some of it is very specific and some of it is very generic. But are you afraid of like writing something that is like, do you have a fear that what if I write something, and because your poetry is so well received, what if I write something and it's a bit like meh? Do you ever hit that fear? Or do you not care?
I think every creative goes through that, where you feel like sometimes your content isn't good enough. Like, for example, you might film something, but you might feel like, okay, maybe I can do better. Or somebody else, like an artist, may paint something, but they're like, I can probably do better. I feel like everyone always goes through that point where they're like, is it good enough? Is it not good enough? And sometimes we just need to take that leap of faith and just post it, because often, more times than not, people do receive it quite well. And there are poems that I've posted and nobody really likes them, nobody really takes notice of them. But then the next day I'll post another poem and it'll blow up and people will love it, people will enjoy it. So sometimes you hit it, sometimes you miss it, but it's about the journey.
It's powerful stuff. Yeah. I'm reading your stuff now as you're
I've got one that was quite well received.
Okay, yeah, let's hear that.
It's about siblings.
Oh, okay.
So this is for you, Omar.
Yeah. Let's hear it. Should we get Nate to read out in his deep voice? Yeah, let's get Nate to read out, bro.
Thank you.
Come on, Nate. Read this one out for us.
We've got a narrator.
Trying to see, how
okay.
long that lasts for.
He's busy producing it. Right, go on, Faisal.
Alright. There's something divine about siblings. It's like a relationship which cannot be mirrored anywhere else. I swear, 1 minute you love them to bits and the next you want to kill them. They're your best friends from day one, despite all the fighting, yes, the physical fights, and all the drama of annoying one another and the screaming and shouting, and sometimes punches, but you still love them to death. Fair enough, they may not understand you like your friends do and know all your secrets, but then they're the ones you'll be able to count on. They're the ones who'll be able to make you laugh and then make you angry in the same minute. But wow, aren't they the best? They're your companion in all your adventures, your partners in all your games, and as much as we hate them, we also love them.
Wow, it's very true.
Yeah.
Very true. Do you have siblings?
I've got 2 younger brothers, yeah.
Do you fight with them a lot?
Yeah.
Really?
I think that's all boys, aren't they?
I don't know. I don't think I've ever had a fight with my brother.
Really? It was just everyday wrestling for us.
Really?
Jumping on each other.
I say it, but I'm sure we had 1 or 2 things. But have you ever seen me and him have a fight, Nate?
No.
But like an argument.
I've only seen you here when you've like had a bit of a disagreement, like on how this should be set up. That's about it.
But that's the extent that it goes to.
Yeah.
And, and you guys are very like diplomatic, should I say? So you kind of
Are we?
you solve it pretty straight away.
Bro,
so
we
it's not,
get over, bro.
doesn't
That's
linger.
good though.
I know,
That's
like,
good.
this is how we have a fight, yeah? We'll have like, on rare occasion, alhamdulillah, I don't want to put no ayn on it, yeah?
Alhamdulillah, man.
We'll have argument, for example, and it'll be like it might get a bit heated, like he might get a bit angry, I might get a bit angry, but nothing, like, definitely never physical, yeah, alhamdulillah. But it's just like he mad at me, I'm mad at him. Bro, maybe 2.5 minutes later, one of us will walk to the other one and be like, bro, I'm sorry, I was an idiot about it.
Alhamdulillah, that's
Forgive
good.
me. And then the other one will say, no, I'm sorry. And then we're like almost five to apologize. So like that's the extent to our arguments, alhamdulillah. But yeah, I resonate with that a lot though, because you do, bro.
yeah.
You're constantly around your siblings, you're right?
But you do
And-
make up with them afterwards, like.
Exactly.
And sometimes you don't realize when you make up, like you fight, and like 5 minutes later I'll go downstairs and I'm like, do you want to play FIFA? Do you want to go and get
Yeah.
food? And it's like you don't actually say sorry, but everything's just forgotten.
How old are they?
One's 17 and one's 12.
Alhamdulillah.
So alhamdulillah, yeah.
So the 71 is obviously quite close to your age, bro. You know, with saying sorry, like just on that topic, I find that saying sorry is such a heavy word. It's so hard for people to say,
Definitely.
but it's so. And it takes a lot of swallowing of the pride to be able to say sorry in it. Bro, that word, how heavy is it? Like sometimes when you want to apologize to someone, it's so hard to get that word out, and it's like, bro, it's just a word. Like, why is it not coming out of my mouth? Because you know what? It takes so much pride. It takes so much swallowing of the pride to say, you know what? I'm going to apologize and say, I'm sorry for this. And I think personally that the more you do it, the easier it gets. And if anybody's listening and is like has been trying to say sorry to someone but like can't like manage to say it, I found that one trick or one method of saying sorry is, this sounds so stupid, but it really has worked for me. Sometimes I've like choked at the word sorry, like I can't get it out for some reason, like my pride isn't letting me get out. If you just say the words, instead of saying, you say I apologize, it's so much easier. I'm not joking, like it comes out so much simpler. Let's say next time you want to apologize, let's say something like you and your sibling has an argument, or like even worse, like you do something a bit rude to your mum that you shouldn't have done or said. Like just go up to them and just say, you know what, I did this thing earlier, I apologize for that. It comes out so much easier.
Wow.
And you're still apologising. But it's the word sorry is just heavy.
It is, yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Mad.
But it's important, obviously, to say that word, you know, to let go of your ego, to just
man.
forgive and move on, because life's always too short. Like, you never know what's around the corner,
It's true.
what's going to happen in the next minute.
You don't want to blacken that heart. Eh?
Yeah.
Very true. Faisal, a lot of your poetry also is about like heartbreak and love and this, that, the other. And I'm curious that you're 20 years old, and how do you always like find like content for that kind of stuff without exposing it yourself? But like, do you find it hard to like sometimes draw from like, or do you just draw from different aspects of your own life? How does it work?
I guess, as every young, not even young Muslim, young person growing up, you obviously go through trials, you go through different emotions throughout college and university. And people sometimes think that these problems don't exist, love, heartbreak, or you're Muslim, you can't go through these things.
No, very true.
But it's true, we do go through it, we do fall,
Yeah.
we do get hurt, and it's a major problem within the community that people don't really address. So I feel like if I can sort of provide a platform for people to
Express
come to and
themselves,
express
wow.
themselves, rather than you expressing it in a way that's, for example, through drugs or through music or through other means that aren't really positive, express yourself through poetry, express yourself through reading. Because I feel like when you do write down, you just release everything that's inside, and once you put it down on paper, it's out of your system, and you can just go over it again, you can go back to it. And sometimes when you read something that somebody else has written, it speaks your feelings inside, it speaks the feelings that you can't make sense. And then once you make sense of them, you can move on and you can finally go on to the next chapter of your life, or you can let go of your past, or you can heal something that was broken. And it is difficult, especially when you speak about it so widely. People do ask questions, and that was one of the reasons why I remained anonymous for like the first year. I was afraid. I was like, what if people say, why are you writing poetry? Oh, poetry is this and that. Oh, you're a man, you can't write poetry. What do you know about emotions?
Yeah.
That was my fear. I was afraid that as a man, I could not be deep with my emotions. I cannot talk about love, heartbreak, mental health, religion.
SubhanAllah. It's powerful because you know what? Just last week we were speaking about kind of like It's about having balance, isn't it? Especially with this like masculinity thing, because obviously everything in our life, and especially in our deen, which should rule our life, has to be balanced, right? And our deen teaches us that everything needs to be balanced. Your deen is balanced. Everything should be according to the middle path. And if we just take that ruling for everything, we will live a very happy life. We'll be balanced in everything. And so people often talk about, especially in recent times, people often talk about men being more in touch with their feelings and making sure that they are still like that they're not like trying to put on a false facade of masculinity.
Yeah.
The time stopped moving.
Oh really?
And we're back. And we're bad.
Sorry about that, guys. So you might have heard like the audio decrease in quality over the past few minutes because we used our backup audio because something seems to have gone wrong with the equipment. And now we're back. We are back, and we are inshallah back in good quality. Inshallah. You know why what's really funny? Yeah, that's like an inside joke that I have with Omar. Like when that guy who does the voiceovers for like X Factor and stuff, and then like he'll say something and then he'll shout something. Yeah. So he'll be like, I don't know, like. In the office we have Nate Rose. And so whenever me and Omar, when I'm chatting to Omar, sometimes we will just shout a random word. Anyway, so what I was saying is that everything in life, as we know, because we have a rule book of life in the Quran and the Sunnah. Everything has to be balanced, right? And because I think in the past, men were made to like feel like they have to be like very masculine in like maybe our like older generation. Now and then now we've come, which I agree was very extreme, yeah. Mm-hmm. But now we've come to a time, yeah, where we were kind of saying that now we've come to a time where almost it's gone the opposite way. That men are promoted so much to like express themselves and maybe like you shouldn't feel bad for this, you shouldn't feel bad for that, which is true, but I think there has to be a midpoint, right? Like a balance, as I'm saying, with the deen, and so you can't be too much that, but you can't be too much that. And I think now we got to also be, as much as we got to be conscious of like making men feel like they can't talk about the problems and all this kind of stuff. We also need to be conscious of like making sure that like we still have masculine traits as a man. Do you know what I mean? And so. That's what we talked about last week. Yeah, in last week's episode of the podcast, we were saying that there are still certain things that in many ways men still need to uphold some sort of masculinity as well. Yeah. However, so I'm not contradicting what I'm saying last week, but what I'm saying is you're right. We do need to have that balance in also being able to promote to men that look, you can talk about your problems, you can cry, you can open up, you can feel things, and of course we could just look at our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Like for example, one of the things that always comes to mind when I think about this stuff is how he sallallahu alaihi wasallam came back to Khadija radiallahu anha after he got revelation from Jibreel alayhi salam, and he was like really scared and shaken. She was holding him radiallahu anha, and this is powerful, man. So I agree with what you're saying. So essentially there needs to be a platform where people can feel like it's okay to go through what they're going through, and especially with our generation has probably come from a generation of parents who we might be the last generation who have parents who maybe came over from Pakistan, etc. So they might still have that kind of feeling, right? Now, so it's good. I can't remember what I was saying. So it's good that we are able to promote that we have that platform, and it's good that you do that for poetry, because I think everybody needs to play their part in society. Whatever way you think that you can do that through, go through that. So if you feel like through poetry you can hit people in a positive way and say, look, it's okay to feel how you're feeling, and maybe I'll feel like I could do that for vlogs, and this person will feel like they could do that through like their business. It's very, very good, man. And that kind of takes us onto the topic of mental health, because I know mental health is something that you you're very interested in.
Yeah.
What is it that makes you so interested in mental health specifically?
I think because I went through my own mental health battles over the past couple of years, and as I was going through it, I saw there was a lack of support within the Muslim community, within the youth community, and when I was in that stage, and when I was in that state of mind, age 16, 17, I wanted somebody to not look up to as a role model, but somebody to be there as a support, somebody to understand what I was feeling, what I was going through. And as I grew up, I wanted to become that somebody for someone else. I wanted my words to be a platform where somebody can come and read poetry that I've written about getting past difficulties, getting past grief, where I go on my live streams and my stories and I speak. And I give my little bits of advice here and there about going through hardships and understanding your hardships. And alhamdulillah, it's definitely had a positive effect. And it gives, especially young Muslims, a place where another young Muslim who understands what they're going through, not somebody who's 40, 50, 60 from another generation, or not somebody who's a professional, which they might feel scared to go to or might not have the opportunity to go to. Just somebody on Instagram who gives a friendly voice, who gives friendly advice, and who's just a friend, basically.
Yeah.
A voice to listen to, a face to make you smile. I wanted to be that somebody for someone else. So that's why I'm so passionate about mental health, because many of us suffer and often we speak little about it. We often ignore it, or we just pretend it doesn't exist, whereas it does.
Do you think everybody goes through mental health? You said most people. Do you think it's everybody, or do you think it's a lot of people? What do you think? How do you think it works for mental health? Not based off of any. Obviously, we should probably give the disclaimer that you're not a doctor, neither am I. But based off of your own interpretation, what do you think about mental health? Do you think it's something that everybody goes through?
I think everybody goes through it, but for some people, it affects them more than others because of their
mental strength,
their circumstances, their position in life, and just how they were raised and how they are.
Okay, I agree, man. I think that just like a person can be physically healthy and then ill and then healthy and then ill. Like, for example, let's say I get a cold, I'm physically a bit unwell, and then I can get better. I think mental health is very similar. I mean, and again, this is just this is not based off any medical research. It's just based off my I suppose experience or what's the other word? When you see something, not visualization.
Viewpoint.
Epiphany.
No, like when you see it in front of you, you're...
Mirage?
No, when you see people doing, like, not experience, but... Come on, it's a basic word, guys.
Sorry? Can you explain again? Situation, context.
If I see you, like, painting the wall, and I say, I know how to paint the wall, not because I did it, but because I saw him do it. What's the word for saw him do it? Oh, come on.
Witnessed him do it.
Observance.
Observed him.
Oh man, I always do some freshly grounded, bro.
So you can paint.
I got an A in English.
Saw somebody paint a picture.
So anyway, my point is that through either experience or observation, I have my thoughts on mental health are that just like you can get a cold physically, you can also sometimes become ill mentally and then get better mentally, and then maybe go for another period where you're feeling a bit weak mentally and then get better mentally. And I think, like you're saying, some people have more severe than others. Just like, for example, someone could become really ill where it's like, oh, you got to have a kidney replacement, and then it's like, okay, this is a proper physical illness and his treatment now. That can happen mental health. So you can be like, oh, now he's gone through depression, or now he's got bipolar, or etc. But even if you remove that, the major illness is physically and the major illness is mentally. I think everybody goes through mental or physical illness, even just on a regular basis. Like, for example, the cold, or like, if a person has like a stomach ache, or like
just the flu or
like even like fracture something in their hand. These are all like little physical problems that we go through, and likewise there's things that happen in our life that can cause us trauma, etc. So we might be ill mentally for a bit but then get better. And some, when you're ill, like sometimes if you got a cut, like I cut myself this morning on my thumb, and when I got a cut on my thumb, it's just, I don't have to do anything to it. It will just eventually fix itself up. But for a bit, it might hurt. I think there are things mentally where something might happen to me and it might make me a bit anxious or nervous, etc. And then eventually, naturally, it will get better. But then, like you said, there are other things which is like, whoa, this needs attention. Yeah. And you're right. You're right. But at the same time, do you think that potentially, because mental health is something that you can't see, you have to trust the person as well. If you tell me, bro, I'm going through anxiety right now, I have to trust that you're telling the truth.
Yeah.
Right? But do you think that some people, because it's something that you can't see, could use mental health as a reason to could use the argument of mental health when perhaps they are not going through it, and the only thing you can do is you can either trust, you have to trust that they're telling the truth, and if they're not telling the truth, you're in a losing situation, because if you accuse them of not telling the truth, it's like, whoa, how do you know what I'm going through mentally? But then they might not be telling the truth.
It's a difficult situation, because you have to trust the person, because we're not inside the person. We don't know what they go through mentally.
Yeah.
And sometimes people don't know how to say that they're struggling. They don't know how to speak about what's going on inside their head. So we have to trust them, even though they may not show that they're depressed physically, or even through their actions or through their words. Who knows what happens to them when they go to bed at night, what sort of thoughts go through their mind. And there are people that do use mental health as an excuse, or sometimes as a leverage to get something, but I believe that's a quite small rarity. Like, I don't think it's quite common. I feel like when people do say they are struggling, which is, it's very difficult to come out and say, listen, I need help, I'm struggling. When they do take that first step, it's because there is something raging inside them. There is something very difficult that's bulging inside them.
Yeah, and it in my experience, from what I've observed again from friends and family, I have found in my experience, and this might not be true for the macro, but I found in my experience that the people around me who have suffered from the strongest form of mental illness have actually been the people who are the strongest people mentally. And what that shows me is that those people are so strong mentally that it's really taken a toll. A lot has had to get to them for them to have got to the point where they've broken. Whereas people around me, like myself, who are quite weak generally, or not weak but emotive, wear their heart on their sleeve, it's easy to tell, and perhaps they might go through it more often, but it's easier to fix maybe through conversation, etc. But there are some people who suppress it, and those people who suppress it, by not talking about it, it could lead to a boiling point, couldn't it?
Definitely. It's like a volcano. It's like when you let it bubble inside you for so long, one day eventually it's going to erupt. And when it erupts, it's going to come out so much more worse. So I feel like it is definitely important to speak about it, speak to a friend, a family member, a professional, just let it out. Don't let it boil within you, because it is something real. Although you cannot see it, medically it is something that is real, and it is recognized, and there is help available for you, whether it be spiritual help, psychological help, mental help, physical help. And I feel like it's a combination of everything. It's not just, oh, you need to pray, oh, you need to go in medicine, oh, you need to go into therapy. It's a combination of loads of different things. Right. So when you put all of them together, that's how you achieve healing, and that's how you get better.
I'd love to, Nate, we should get someone on the podcast. We should get someone on the podcast who's specializes in mental health, like a psychiatrist, or no, is that the right word? Psychiatrist,
yeah.
Like a psychiatrist, or like a medical professional who deals with mental health on a regular basis, who deals with clients on a regular basis, on a day in day out basis. They're sitting with clients who are going for mental health, and just pick their brain, man, and find out Muslim or non-Muslim. I want to find out the experiences of clients. Obviously, there's client privileges that they have to withhold. They can't tell anything, but perhaps there's a way of doing it without them saying the names of the people. But I'd love to hear anecdotes of these meetings.
From my experience, over the past couple of years, I've seen a rise in a lot of Muslim mental health well-being practitioners, which is quite important, I believe, because
Is there qualifications you need for that? How does that work?
it's a qualification. Yeah.
Where do you get this qualification? So if
Not
this
too
person,
sure.
if you see someone as a mental health practitioner, what have they done to deserve that title?
Courses. That's like an official title where they can work.
Would
in
you not have
clinic.
to be a doctor, surely?
No, I don't think you have to go through the whole doctor route.
What about a psychologist?
A psychologist.
Bro, you know who I would love to have on this podcast? Bro, I would love to have my old psychology teacher,
Don't know who those.
my old psychology lecturer from Cardiff Uni. Bro, my psychology lessons were sick. Because, bruv, this teacher, yeah, you know, you're in uni now, yeah, bruv, you know, lecturers that just stand at the front
And
of
they
the
just talk.
and they talk,
Yeah.
and he's right, it's dead. But bro, you know, my psychology
You
lecturer.
one of the ones that sat on the desk. But it was.
Yeah. The one that said, bro, my psychology lecturer, bro, my psychology lecture was 2 hours long. Yeah, it was called social psychology. So the psychology that we studied was not the psychology that you study in schools and stuff. The other is social psychology, which is literally what it says on the tin.
About
So
like behavior,
crime, etc. Right. So bro, this lecturer he was an Australian guy, yes. He's from New Zealand, and he was so tall, and he had such a bravado about him, and he would walk from one end of the like lecture theatre to the other, and he'd come up the like lecture stairs, and then he'd like come to your face and like talk to you, like look you in the eyes and be like, and then like if a person is like this, and then like and you're like encapsulated, and then like he'll turn and he'll walk to the other end of the room, and then he'll just sit on the lecture desk like in the middle of the room, and everyone's looking at him. Bro, he was sick. Do you know what? You don't try, you don't get. I don't know what the saying is, but I'm gonna try and find out his name. 'Cause I don't remember anything about him, and he definitely won't remember me, because our lecture theatres were humongous in Cardiff, like hundreds of people, and so he won't remember me. But I'm gonna try hit him up and send him an email and say, listen, I was your psychology student a few years back. If you're ever in London, I would love to have you on my podcast.
That would be perfect.
Bro, because he was sick. Yeah, man. But I love psychology. Like I used to hate. Bro, the two things I used to hate, psychology and sociology. I never done sociology in school, and when I learned it in uni, as part of our degree in uni, we had to learn sociology, and I was like, oh, this is dead. But after I left uni, I realized the power of sociology, like, it's so important. Just society's understanding, like patterns in behavior, like, all this kind of stuff is so interesting to me. And now I wish that I had focused on it more when I was at uni. But look, let's talk about your university, Faisal. So you it really feels weird saying Faisal, because I only refer to myself as Faisal, yeah. But now I feel like I'm speaking in third person. Anyway, let's talk about you, Faisal. You are at what university? Do you want to disclose it or not?
Yeah, I'm at University of Hertfordshire.
And where? Okay, that's in Hertfordshire.
Just in Hertfordshire,
so that's just up the road.
Just Hatfield.
That's so close to 59 and
I'm just around the corner from St Albans.
Yeah,
Menspire everywhere. Yeah.
Have you been to Menspire?
I haven't been. I've been meaning to go.
Bro, that is a real shame.
I need to go to.
You're sat in Big Man Sam's chair right now, and you haven't even been to.
I get a shape up from Sam. It's needed.
Wow.
It's needed.
Have you been to 59?
I haven't been.
Bro,
I haven't been to St Albans. I need to go. When I do go, I will go to both.
Somebody get this guy off my chair. Bro, you need to go 59, bro. It is. Bro, you know when I'm sitting in the program, I'm like, oh, yeah, 59 is... Bro,
I've seen your vlogs. I see it in your vlogs,
bro,
and I'm like, I need to go.
Bro.
I see that menu, and I'm just like, that looks nice.
Oh, bro, do you know what I might do? I might go surprise Sam, because, to be fair, it'll make a sick vlog as well. I miss Sam so... Bro, I ain't seen Sam. You know how long has it been since I've seen him? Nate, when was the last time I saw Sam? When Fresh Guy, maybe like...
It's probably like 4 weeks ago.
5 weeks maybe. I haven't seen him, bro. He's had a son, innit?
Yeah, I saw. How's he doing?
Bro, alhamdulillah, bro.
Alhamdulillah,
Good. I'm
man.
really happy for him, man. Anyway, we keep on off topic.
Back to uni.
Yeah, uni, man. So what you studying?
I'm studying history and religious studies.
That is mad.
I'm the only Asian in my course.
Well, is anybody else studying history and religious studies in the university?
Yeah.
There's a few of you.
So my university, when you do history, which is the major, they let you do minors. So you could do psychology, religious study, creative writing, English lit, English language art.
You would think that you would go in something like English lit.
I don't like English lit. Like,
you are a poet, Faisal.
Yeah. I don't know. 'cause
So
I feel like
I think by default, as well, you have to like English lit. I love
But-
English lit. Sorry, but do you know what? Oh, great. Do you know what happened? Basically, our freshly grounded. So for those of you who are not watching, our freshly grounded sign just completely fell. Don't worry about it. But basically, our freshly grounded canvas used to be hooked up by nails,
yeah.
and then. What happened is we decided to paint the wall, and so we had to take the nails out, and then Nathan, joking. Nate by instruction from Omar, took the nails out and then filled them up,
Yeah.
and so now there's no nails, so we need to actually get that sorted. So that's why it falls. But yeah, so you're doing your minor in history.
Ironically, religious studies helped me more with my writing than English lit or English language.
No, sorry, you're doing your minor in religious studies.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. Because with religious studies, it's quite philosophical. So we learn about sort of emotions, we learn about hope, empathy, forgiveness, we learn about ethics and sort of all of those values, about everyday living, how to be a good person, how to be a good character. We learn about Islam, Christianity and Judaism. And I believe sort of through religious studies, building a character for myself and becoming a better person, I feel like a more well-rounded person who's more in touch with his emotions like hope and forgiveness. So becoming a more forgiving person, becoming a more optimistic person about the future has definitely helped me with my mental health and therefore with my poetry.
Have you found that you got closer to Allah because you studied religious studies or not?
Before I
As a direct effect.
Before I was going to study religious studies, people were like, oh, don't...
You can use these things tiny still.
People were like, oh, don't, you're going to learn about other religions, you're going to go further away from Islam. But if anything, learning about those religions brought me closer to Islam.
Okay.
Because it's like, wow, you can see the comparisons. And it truly just encompasses the majesty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And like learning about Islam, even though it was in a Western university, it promoted me to go do my own research. I was like, okay, I want to do my own knowledge. So I started watching more YouTube lectures, I started reading more books, and it just built a foundation for me to build upon my own knowledge, yeah.
And so what's your experience in university like? Are you happy that you went?
Definitely. I moved out like you did.
Okay.
So I've lived out for the last 2 years.
Are you still living out? Obviously, I know it's just summer break, but are you still living?
Third year, I'm not going to be living out.
Okay.
I'm going to be driving out.
Okay.
I miss my mum's cooking. Obviously, yeah. That's the main thing. But I feel like it was a very positive experience, especially when you do live out. You start to grow up. Like you go there as a boy, you learn how to cook, even though you can only cook like Cocoa Pops and a couple other things. You learn how to clean.
Yeah.
And just generally, you become more independent. And I feel like when you do become more independent, you become more mature. You sort of wise up to the real world. And I feel like when you are in university, you have a lot of creative bursts. So when you were in university, you started Izaha. When I was in university, I definitely felt a spike in my poetry. I feel like when you're around like-minded people, creative people, and you're in that environment where everybody's working, it sort of pushes your own motivation to work and do something. Yeah.
Wow. Do you think that university is something that's gonna? When I talk about university, I often say that the biggest benefit that it's had on me is that, like you said, it made me grow up very quickly because I had to, wash all my when I grew up, my mum made us very independent from early. So even when we were in primary school, we had to iron our own school uniforms and all this kind of stuff, and we all had chores around the house. The only time we didn't have to do chores was like if it was like a special day or something, my mum would like let us off, but generally we'd have to like wash the dishes from primary school, wash the dishes, take the bins out, etc. So I feel like I was always independent somewhat, but going to university definitely, like
it's
you said,
a whole other step.
It's a different step, bro, because you don't have anyone to rely on, so you literally don't have any other option. Like if you don't clean your bathroom, for example, because like that's one thing I didn't do when I was little. My chore was never like clean the bathroom and the toilet.
It was just like clean the living room,
bro. When I'm in
bedroom,
when I'm in uni and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm learning like, alright, this is how you got to clean a toilet. Like this is how you got to clean a toilet. You got to get that bleach. You got to get that. I'm in the supermarket now getting toilet equipment to clean. Bro, like I remember one time me and Only moved into a new house, and our previous tenants had like clogged up the shower with like loads of hair, and bro, this is our responsibility now. Like, so there was one time when me and Only had to literally unclog. We spent a day, bro, just like taking all of their hair and stuff out of the shower things. Horrible. But yeah, you're right. You have to do it. But who else can do it, huh?
Get a plunger.
Yeah, we tried that, but it didn't really help too much. We even tried that little liquid that you pour down the plug hole and then it breaks the hairs off and like. But no, none of that worked. But we literally just had to like manual, just like get gloves on, just like pull all these like hairs. I think maybe potentially some bears were living in our house before. Actually, we won't get only on the podcast. But do you feel like university, other than that, is going to benefit you after you graduate?
I feel like it will. I feel like in university you meet a lot of people, and often those people stay your friends for life, which is what they say.
But I'm saying career-wise.
Career-wise,
what do you want to do ideally? What's your ideal career?
Ideally, I'm not too sure right now. Okay. I want to go into writing full-time if possible. I've got one book.
Yes, I want to talk about that. Let's talk about that after.
So I've got one book
Can I
out.
take a look at that?
Yeah. I've got one book that's out, so inshallah I definitely want to pursue that. And if I can pursue a career in spoken word or sort of motivational speaking, something that will benefit myself and the community, I'll definitely like to go for that. And I feel like in university you build social connections within your career. You'll meet people that you can refer back to. Like you were just speaking about your old psychology teacher.
Yeah.
Maybe in a couple of years I might have that same feeling where I can go back to somebody and I can help them and they can help me. But I feel like as for now I'm just focusing on the final year at university, getting through my exams and just graduating really and moving on from there, inshallah.
Inshallah, bro.
Yeah.
May Allah give you a good, strong career in whatever that you want to do it in, and give you halal rizq. I mean,
can I speak about one thing though?
Yeah.
As a Muslim, growing up and moving out from university, it's a difficult struggle which you might relate to.
Bro, you know what? Oh my gosh, that just brings up something that I remember. What? Well, hold on, you're about to go into your last year.
Yeah.
You know what, bro? I remember, because I follow you on Instagram, and I remember watching your story when you first moved into uni, and you were documenting how difficult it is for you to keep your iman up, to pray, and this, that, the other.
Yeah.
But I'd love to hear that, man. Because you went into university as a practicing Muslim, innit?
Yeah.
See, because my experience was different. I went into university, I found Islam in my second year of university. So I went on the journey there. So I can't imagine what it's like to go as a practicing Muslim and then enter that environment and try and uphold that. So talk to me about that, man. What was that like?
So like, when I started university, like I feel like I've always been quite practicing, always been on deen, and alhamdulillah, still am. But once you start university, you're exposed to a whole new world, a whole new people. Suddenly you have this freedom, like, oh, mum doesn't know what time I come home, mum doesn't know where I go out. And it's very difficult because I didn't know anybody when I went to my university. I went there alone. So imagine me being the only Muslim living in my halls, surrounded by non-Muslims, and they're used to a certain lifestyle that I'm not used to. For example, we share a kitchen, so there was alcohol, there was pork, ham, haram meat, and suddenly I'm exposed to this, and I've never seen this. I've seen it on TV. That's it. Because during sixth form and secondary, I always had close Pakistani Muslim friends that we were all close to, and I was the only one out of my friends that were allowed to move out for university, because I feel like other Pakistani parents sort of understood the difficulties. But my mum, obviously, she trusted me, and she said, if it's for your best, then go for it. So it was very difficult, especially within the first 3 months, because you're very lonely, and you're like, I need to make friends, but if I can't find good practicing friends, I have to make friends with the people that I meet at uni, or the people that I live with, or the people that live on campus. And especially when they're not Muslim and they're doing X, Y, and Z, suddenly you find yourself falling into that same path. You find yourself doing the same things that they did.
Yeah, right.
And before you realize it, you're starting to lose yourself. You're starting to lose your identity and who you were and everything you upheld. And there was moments where, for example, we'll all be out and it'll be prayer time. And usually if I was at home, I'd pray. If I was in sixth form, I'd pray. But because you're in a group of friends that do not pray, you're almost afraid to speak up and say, oh, I can't come out. oh, I can't go out to eat with you guys.
You're in a
'cause I need to
you're
pray."
in a new environment.
You're in a new environment. You want to fit in. You want to be part of that group, and you want to belong somewhere because you don't want to be the odd one out, who everyone calls a loner, who stays in their room all day. So it was very difficult. But alhamdulillah, once I found a good company, that was good concrete company, and this was a mixture of Muslims and non-Muslims, but I found good non-Muslims who would encourage me to pray, which I loved, subhanAllah. Like, if it was prayer time, they're going to be Faisal, isn't it time for you to pray?
Wow.
And I'd be like, oh yeah. Or if we're going out to eat, they'll be like, okay, that's not a halal restaurant. Faisal won't be able to come. Let's choose somewhere else. So it's not always about finding Muslims and non-Muslims. It's about finding good characters and people who have positive values and bring those positive values.
And I also think that at the end of the day, what you're going through is a normal thing in that, like, you don't want to have to be the odd one out.
It's that fear of missing out.
Yeah, it's fear of missing out. No one to be the odd one out. However, there is beauty in the how our religion even encourages us to say, look, if we are the strangers, alhamdulillah, being the strangers is not a bad thing. And so I think that's a good thing that you can take from that, and a good piece of advice, I suppose, for anyone listening who is in the same position that you were, is that if you find yourself that person who is the odd one out, it's probably a good thing.
It just takes time for you to find people.
Yeah, and also it takes confidence to say, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. Always my prayer time, and I don't negotiate on that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because no one's gonna, like, do you know what I mean? And if people leave you in friendship and stuff for being that guy, then you're not meant to have those people around you anyway. Yeah. Alhamdulillah, bro. I've got your book in front of me right now. I just come across the poem that I'm going to read out. Actually, I want to read a few of these out.
Shall I speak a little bit about my book?
No, let's hear your
Okay.
book. Let's speak about it after. But let me read some stuff. Wow, some of these poems are really short, aren't they? Like 2 lines.
Yeah.
Okay, this one says, Is this carry on? Or this is the start, yeah?
That's the start, yeah.
It says, she said, boys cannot cry, for their tears are dry. You can ask me why. I asked, they hide their feelings in rooftop ceilings, the smoke they inhale, and the looks they entail. They are afraid, you see, of this thing called society, who don't accept it, but neither do they reject it. So boys don't cry, and instead they lie on their beds with chaos in their heads, because the world said no, and that's how it goes. Boys cannot cry. Powerful, mate. Powerful, mate. And this one says, my mother once said that women are strong. I asked why, for I always saw her cry. And surely tears mean you've broken to your fears. She said, her heart is wide enough to hold her worries and the worries of a man. Her smile was warm enough to ease the gentle cries of a child. Her touch brings a man weak in his knees. Her innocence softens the harshness with the heart of a father. Her silence is the most beautiful song. She cries, but so does everyone else. But not everyone else holds the burdens of a family on the curve of their backs. Her feet encompass heavens, and her speech is soft like the clouds. Her hands possess threads which build homes out of houses and smiles out of broken hearts. Women are strong. Strong in ways one cannot imagine. I was silenced. What I learnt as a meal. Wow, man. Good stuff, man. Let me try to find one more before we talk about this book, because I want people to hear.
I've got a chapter that you might enjoy.
Okay.
This chapter is called Spirituality.
Oh, now you're pulling on my heartstrings there. Love a bit of spirituality. What about you, Nate?
The next couple pages after this and this one, if you can find any.
At me like that?
I was just thinking about current events. You want to do a bit of current events later? Yeah, you want it? Bro, it's all good. We can get into it. We can have a little break for you to look up some of the old CE. Yeah. Right, here we go. Let me just fix up my mic before I do this.
Introducing Faisal Chowdhury.
I do love a good book, mate. Do you read, Faisal?
I read a lot.
Oh, we're gonna have a great discussion after this about books then. Right. Let me find one that I want to read though. Okay, I haven't read this book. Let's go with it. Okay. I pray God grows roses where once only thorns grew. That peace fills the emptiness within your heart, and love fills the cracks within your soul. That the sadness within you becomes contentment, and finally, that my prayers are accepted. I pray for your well-being. Okay, let me read another one. Okay. Oh, are a lot of these on Instagram?
No. These are just exclusive to my book.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So all of these poems are just exclusive for your book? I was told about a man whose smile shined like the moon when the night sky of sadness fell upon him. A man who wept for me centuries before I was born. May peace and blessings be upon you. Okay, we're going to find one last one. Find me a nice rhyming one. Anyone. I want to read a bit of a rhyme, you know.
You want to do a bit of rapping?
Yeah, I want to do a bit of the old poetry. I'm not a rapper. This is a nice little episode, isn't it, Nate? I'm enjoying this. Still, we haven't spoken about kind of like. I think this is the first time we've actually with someone who's actually in university, or spoken to someone who's like. It is, isn't it? We haven't spoken to someone who's in university, and first time we've spoken about poetry. Maybe like, I know we speak about poetry with Bilal, but this is definitely a different turn.
I think it's the first time we've spoken to someone that's pro-university as well.
Yeah, I think it is someone who's pro-university. It's true. This is a strictly anti-university podcast. Nah.
We don't do school here.
But do you know what I was just thinking while Faiz was speaking? Yeah, that I want to get someone on. Who is a parent to speak about parenting, innit?
We had a little with Yusha Evans that time.
We did, but even more so, like, I would love to have Yusha Evans on that. But like, even just speaking about parenting and stuff, like for example, like the balance between disciplining your children but being their friend. All this kind of stuff. Who'd be amazing with that is Sheikh Tim Humble, because he was speaking about that privately to us. But even someone who's realistic who we could probably get on to speak about parenting would probably be Adnan Rashid. You know Musa's dad? He's an Islamic historian. We could probably speak about history.
His videos are so good.
This one, yeah? Right, here we go. This last poem I'm going to read, guys. So... Okay.
Introducing Faisal Chowdhury.
War was never the solution. It was the direct result of evolution. Evolution of society and revolution. Revolution of the richest contribution. They take more with less distribution, do less with more retribution, dividing the united and creating pollution, leading to more innocent persecution. And then to find a resolution, they invest in more institution. And the victim is society. We've lost the morals of humanity, trapped in a calamity of the insanity's reality. But when they get mad at me for wanting peace and not brutality, blame the innocent. It's sad to see. Seeing the helpless lying to bleed, it is unity we need for the oppressed to finally be freed. But we're obsessed with greed. Our desires are all we ache to feed. This is a good book.
Powerful.
Right, let's talk about this book now. So this book is called Finding Nectar Within My Poison by Faisal Nazir. Is that how you pronounce your last name? Nazir?
Yeah.
And it's a 242 page book. Talk to me about it. So when did you write this? When did you publish it? How did you publish it? I want to hear everything about this book.
So ever since I started writing poetry, which I spoke about, which was in 2014, I always wanted to write a book. I feel like it's something special holding your words in a book rather than reading it off a page. Like sometimes you want to detach yourself from that digital world. Like,
oh, you ain't got to tell me I love a good book, me.
Yeah, like you just want to be on the train just reading something.
Yeah.
So I was like, I really want to put my poetry in a book, but I want my poetry in my book to be exclusive just for my book. Because I don't want people to pay for something they can just read online for free.
Okay.
So everything on here, I think out of 242 poems, 230 are just exclusive and about 12 are online. So I started writing it July last year and I actually published it in August. It took me a month and a half to write. because I was just so invested in it. And over the last couple of years,
That's very speedy.
Yeah.
That's a quick.
But I had all the ideas in my head.
Okay.
Like I had all the chapters planned out. I had what I wanted to write about planned out.
Okay.
So I just started writing it, and I just chose the different chapters, which the different chapters are affection, breaking, reflection, recovery, the world, the reader, spirituality for the culture, and overthinking. And it sort of reflects a journey through healing and growing, and it relates to the wider world of like social poetry, current affairs such as the migration issues that were going on last year, references to Palestine and what's going on there, references to sort of being a male, being a Muslim in the young world. And yeah, so it took me about a month and a half to write, and I self-published it through Amazon.
How does that work?
So it's a company called CreateSpace.
Yeah.
And it's actually completely free to do. You
Really?
just upload your PDF. I was surprised. It's actually really easy to publish a book.
So you go to CreateSpace.
And you just upload your PDF. So
Yeah.
I wrote it all on Word,
Yeah.
made it into PDF. Upload your PDF, and then they make the book, and they put it on Amazon to be sold. They ship it, but obviously they take a percentage.
Do they take a fat percentage? Sounds like they would.
Yeah, but it's risk free, and it removes you from the whole printing.
Do they proofread, or do they just?
No, they don't
Okay.
proofread.
Could you mind telling us how much percentage they take?
They took about 60%.
So they take about 60% plus shipping. No, hold on. So let's say you sell a book for £10, you literally are getting £4.
£4, yeah.
But so there's no other fees after that.
No.
I mean, that's really good considering everything they do. You just write the book.
And it's risk free, because you could go to a publisher and sort of make 500 copies of your book and pay £3,000. CreateSpace, yeah. And it's actually really easy to do. Like,
So if I look now on Amazon, I can find your book, can I?
yeah. Just search Faisal Nazeer. And it sort of removes that risk-free option. Like I was 19 at the age. I didn't really have money to invest in publishing a book
Hold on, so you didn't pay a penny?
to publish it. No,
Okay. And then
So-
how do they pay you?
they pay me through. They'll transfer money through bank transfer.
Okay.
And
But
they'll
so you have like an account with them,
yeah.
and you can see how much money you're making. and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, so even on there,
Yeah. So it's actually really efficient, and it's crazy how many opportunities there are for us young
who
people out there.
barcoded it?
They barcode it. I created the front cover myself on Microsoft Paint.
Bro, this is impressive.
Yeah. So
This is making me want to write a book.
you can write a book, honestly.
I have nothing to write about. But maybe one day I will write a book.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. So who designed the book, like in the inside and stuff? So
I chose it all myself.
so this is Word documents.
Yeah.
So what do they do? Did they shrink it into A5?
Yeah, so you could choose your book size. You could do A4, A5, or whatnot. I chose A5. And then they just make it.
They didn't even take a fee for making the physical book.
I think they take it from like 60%. That's why
Right.
they take such a fat
Yeah, they
percentage.
take a huge percentage.
Because it's
but-
printing, putting together the book, shipping, whatnot. But like, it's just surreal to have your words and your journey in your hands, and to just hold it and be proud of it. And I think one thing, especially within like the Pakistani community, creatives aren't really supported as much as other communities. Like, if you want to become a writer or a poet, or you want to do YouTube, it's not seen as, what's the word?
It's not seen as secure, and it's not seen as like impressive to like our older generation.
Compared to being a doctor or academic.
right.
So that was quite a difficult transition for me, because when I told my parents and my family that I was writing, they were supportive, but they weren't too keen. They were just like,
And what were they like once they saw the book?
once they saw the book, they were very proud. They were quite convinced. They were like, okay, you're actually doing something. You're actually moving forward. You're actually starting to make a career out of it. And they were like, if you want to do this, if you want to pursue it, like, alhamdulillah, I come from a very supportive family. And they were like, we will fully support you. But speaking to friends that I have on Instagram who write, they aren't in the same situation. They want to write a book, but their family would never let them put their words out like that, or their family would never let them make a career out of
Yeah,
writing.
yeah, it's tough, bro. It's tough.
So it's difficult, yeah. But
I
like,
find that often, look, at the end of the day, your parents want what's best for you. And at the end of the day, sometimes you have to show them with action. If you just tell them in speech, oh, this is what I want to do, it's like, all right, cool. But if you say, this is what I've done, as long as this is not something that they'd be upset with.
and you show your hard work. Yeah.
Bro, more about the book. Did you design the front cover?
Yeah.
And then you designed, could you have designed the back cover?
I could, but
Okay.
the reason why I kept it...
And you could have designed it.
The reason why I kept it white and simple
Minimalist.
is to just embrace the simplicity, to just say all the art and everything, all the design is inside the book within the words.
Guys, it's time for some current events. Current events.
Why isn't the
Nate Rose.
event on here about the... Is it the... Where? I can't remember what country they're from. Are they Japanese or Korean? They're stuck in the cave.
What?
Remember you heard about them?
The footballers.
Yeah.
What?
I think they were Korean.
Yeah. What country were they in though? I can't remember.
What?
Basically, yeah, they was on like a trip or whatever, and they basically got lost in this cave, and they've been in there for maybe like 2 weeks now. I think.
It was about
but they've been
people.
found.
Who?
So.
It was a football team of about 12 people, and they got trapped in a cave. I think it was a flood or something
Yeah.
that pushed them to take refuge in the cave.
In
And
Russia?
No, Russia.
No. I can't remember what country
I
it was
don't know
on.
what country.
But basically, they've been found now, innit? But they're not.
Yeah.
They're not dead. They're still alive. Obviously, haven't eaten in like 10 days or so. So they're now on the rescue mission, which will last about 6 months,
wow.
because none of them can swim, and they've got to learn how to dive to come out of the cave. So they got people coming in, dropping food off, and teaching them this and that and everything. So
Really?
pretty mad, innit? Imagine
6
that.
months.
So yeah,
Isn't there an easier way to get them out?
that's the only way out is to swim.
What about getting a boat or something?
But it's underwater, it's flooded, so you have to dive in and out.
Wow.
There must be an easier way, like they must be able to, obviously, but they've got to learn how to use the breathing equipment and stuff like that. So
They've got to learn how to swim as well.
That's mad.
I'm sure they can hold on to someone's back and whatnot, but still, yeah.
But that's so much more interesting than the current events we've got coming up.
Yeah, because I was running through them now. So England,
It's coming home.
that's the.
Do you watch football, Faisal?
Yeah, I'm an Arsenal fan, unfortunately.
I'm an Arsenal fan.
Yeah.
I say that, but I don't know anything about Arsenal. I just am a fan. I have a
Yeah.
T-shirt that says Arsenal.
Yeah.
Yeah. But did you watch the game though, the England game?
Yeah, I think
Nerve-wracking, wasn't it?
it was. Yeah, I was quite shocked. I was surprised.
Yeah, I
that we
thought
actually
they
got
were lost.
Yeah.
Well, but when
It's coming up.
when my man lost his thing, hold on. When that goal got lost, oh, I can't remember what I'm saying because there's distractions in the studio. Yo, we need to shut the door. Raw. I can't remember what I was saying, bruv. What was it, Nate?
He was on about when they conceded in the last second.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Really?
when was it? Who was it that lot? Henderson.
Oh, you're on about the penalty shootout?
Yeah, the
I thought you was
penalty
on about
Henderson
before that.
missed, yeah.
No.
Yeah, Henderson missed the penalty,
shootout,
yeah.
I thought we lost it.
Pickford
Henderson's penalty got
pulled
saved.
out,
Yeah,
pulled
we-
out the
we-
bag.
Solid.
Everyone seems to forget about that
What?
amazing save
Yeah.
before Colombia
Yeah.
actually scored.
Bro, amazing save. Shave.
Yeah,
Amazing
pretty
save,
insane
amazing
to be fair.
Yeah, man. So hit us with the first current event, Nate.
Since we're on the topic, it says here Jordan Pickford's hidden water bottle is the key to England's penalty success. And it says his water bottle contained notes.
His water bottle had notes on it.
Yeah, that
we need that water
of the
bottle.
penalty takers and
We need to
their
find
last
out.
like previous penalties and where they went and stuff. So
Wow.
apparently that could have helped.
But if you think about it, would you call that cheating, Faisal? So
No, it's not cheating.
So
No.
the England goalkeeper has got a water bottle with notes of where the players are more likely to shoot.
It's just his research, his revision. That's
If
what they
you
do.
have that,
Yeah.
they'll tell you anyway. They've got
They
prints
watch the
out.
videos
It comes on
again and
TV
again.
where their previous
Yeah.
penalties are as well. So it's not a. It's,
It's
just
just
knowledge.
they're studying just that.
Need
Nah,
to
it's
know.
good. It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually watching. They got the video of his save on here actually.
What do you
Decent.
think about VAR, Nate? Being a football, you're the biggest football fan here.
I'm as long as it stays in tournaments, it can't come to the Premier League. It's
VAR,
impossible.
It's sometimes it's perfect and sometimes just awful. Like
It will take the that human touch away from football if it's
yeah.
used regularly.
It's
Like,
too
it can't come
artificial.
to like
Yeah.
the Premier League or whatever.
But
It can be
it-
used in big tournaments like this. I think it's alright, but
yeah.
because it obviously makes some big decisions that are only really going to be used.
And it's helped push the
Once.
tournament because there's been so many penalties, haven't there?
Yeah,
There's
there
like a
has-
penalty every game, really. So there's
Bro, did you see when the Colombian headbutted Henderson?
should have got
Mm.
red.
It should have been a red card. Yeah.
Barrios. Yeah.
But they say anything below. But he hit him in the chin afterwards. They went up to hit his chin. But
That is
they
mad.
say anything below your thing is a
That
yellow.
was a heated game.
But, you know,
Yeah.
Zidane got sent off for headbutting someone in the chest. So, hey, back in the day.
I remember that. I watched that live.
Mad, innit?
How old was I?
What?
How many years ago was that?
2006.
Who was it? Oh, how many years ago was that?
12.
12.
That was 12 years ago while I was young.
Mad.
Anyway, yeah, the football is everyone's got football fever right now, and rightly so. I'm even going to play tonight. Mad.
Who do you think is going to win the World Cup, Faisal?
I think France.
You think France?
Yeah, I think France. Who do you think, Nate?
Um,
Honestly,
well, France is the hottest team, but obviously my heart says England.
yeah, same. But
It's coming up.
I'm going to go for
Yeah.
Brazil.
I don't know about Brazil.
They're a classic team. Like,
They're not as classic as they used to be, but
Yeah.
they haven't
I
got.
think
They haven't.
France
you
could-
never know with them.
Brazil haven't got that.
Who's
Thing anymore.
who are Brazil facing next?
Belgium.
Belgium,
And who's France facing?
Uruguay tomorrow.
That's going to be a good.
Brazil don't have that fear in them anymore. People are not scared of Brazil.
Nah, I remember there was a big fear of Brazil.
Yeah, they haven't got that.
No Ronaldo.
That was back when they had
Ronaldo.
Kaká. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, now they've just got. Even Neymar hasn't done anything impressive apart from his.
He just
dramatics.
rolls around on the floor. Like,
Coutinho's probably been the best player so far. So, hey,
you never know. It's full of surprises.
France have got loads of different options about them. But
Belgium have been very surprising as well.
Yeah.
Belgium have always been a good team, but they've always kind of flopped.
What's your predictions for this Saturday, Sweden, England?
England are going to win this.
Yeah,
But
2-0.
yeah,
I reckon
it
England
has
will
to
get
be
it
a
as well.
comfortable win.
I think England will go as well, but they just need to fix up a bit, innit? Because there's some there are some holes in their armor.
It's a bit of fragility within the team, almost like a lack of
It's new
self-belief
territory.
almost,
That's what it
yeah.
is. It's all new to these
Yeah.
players. Yeah, but that last game will give them a hella confidence,
Definitely. Yeah.
and they're going to go out on Saturday.
They're gonna kill it.
Give it their all.
Yeah, full of confidence, full of beans on toast.
What we got next, Nate?
Another one is actually Russia related. Hold on, where is it? Yeah, just lost it. It says England fans using fake ID hack to gain access to Russia before quarterfinal.
What does that mean? Like to get into the country?
It says, let me read this bit here. It says, I will give you a ticket reference number and you PayPal me £1 or £2.
Pound or two.
Says England support with a business plan. But so basically there's a loophole in red tape for the World Cup I haven't actually read this yet.
You know, what I read an article earlier today that said that, or I saw the headline for it, and it said that there's a influx of people who are from England who are trying to travel to Russia for the World Cup, like now that it's getting serious, and so they're trying to like figure out how they're gonna, because they wasn't expecting this many England fans to go over there.
So
So
now
like-
there's a few of them flying over now. Innit?
Yeah, there's loads of them flying over now. so-
Turn up.
I think the headline said something like we're going to need a bigger plane or something. So
Full of surprises, aren't they?
yeah, because if you clock the last few England games in the World Cup, England fans have been outnumbered by a long shot. There's been a lot more opposition fans. For some reason, not a lot of England fans are in Russia, but now they're taking it a bit more seriously and heading down there. But tickets must be madness, bro. Tickets must be mad.
But along with the tickets, you got the flight tickets and the visa, which is apparently quite expensive as well to go to Russia
Yeah, you got to get visas
Yeah.
again. Wow.
for the World Cup as
But
well.
people are gonna do it, bro. Like any means necessary, innit?
yeah.
Bro? People will spend their emergency savings on it. I'm really like jittery right now because yesterday I was on the phone. I was out and about somewhere, and where I was, it was like loads of flies and stuff because it was by loads of shops. Like,
Yeah,
so I think
yeah.
like there was like just generally there's loads of flies everywhere. I'm on the phone to Omar, and as I'm speaking to him, like all these flies like around me and stuff.
The flying ants are coming out now.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Maybe. And then
They're everywhere.
horrible.
You
but
can't even leave
it
your
was
windows
flying
open.
ants, and bruv, like landed on me, bruv. And I at one point yesterday, I like went on my, I was like had this itch in my back. I like,
Did you find a dead one?
and it was dead one in my hand, bruv. It felt horrible. I just wanted to get home and shower.
They are horrible. I do not like them at all.
That's what it was. It was flying
I
ants.
don't usually mind anything. As soon as they just come out there, it's like, oh.
But they land on you. They're all over you, and like it's weird, bro.
And you
They have
just
no
just
respect.
feel it, innit? In your back,
So now I'm not uncomfortable. If I get a bit of uncomfortableness, I'm just straight away. I just feel like there's a flying ant on me.
Yeah.
So what's this about fake ideas?
Flying ant season.
Is it a bit dead?
It is a little dead because something's obviously gone wrong, because usually it says here that your ID is merged with your ticket, so it's like, how are the people getting around it?
Oh, so they're just basically getting fake IDs.
Yeah, but something it's not too clear. Then it just goes on to about how England fans are flying over now, but I think there's been more than they expected. That's kind of what the problem is.
Okay.
Now people
Yeah.
are kind of, they can't deal with the amount of people, and they can't keep track of who's coming in.
Wow, just dropping your phone. What we got next?
Surprised it ain't broken.
While Nate gets the next current event. Speaking of planes, I flew back recently. When I was flying out to Morocco, the plane that we went on was like completely empty, yeah. And so every single person on the plane, I say literally, like 99% of the people on the plane just got their own like 3-row seat, and everyone was just sleeping above like 3-row. Everyone's just sleeping like as if it was first class. Completely empty. And then the way back was packed, so we couldn't do that.
Cool.
That was nice.
The next one we got here is why foreign words grab our attention, and it's basically touching up on like advertising and how we use foreign words to grab people's attention and stuff.
Like what? What's an example?
Let's see what we've got. I mean, I won't be able to pronounce any of these. That one's in German.
I was about to say, like,
Scots
hotel-
gave us, what's this word, bloody hell? Is that Kosagach? A feeling of coziness, warmth, and relaxation.
I'm not sure.
I've never heard that before.
Oh, but there must be stuff like, for example, no one uses it. I was going to say Mikasa Sukasa, but I don't know if that's like something that anyone actually uses.
No,
Any companies.
no.
But what? So the idea is that foreign words in marketing are making us purchase.
Yeah, they're more attractive.
They're
That
a bit
makes
more
sense.
catchy.
Makes sense. It does make sense.
Yeah. I don't know. You used the word cliche earlier. I mean, it's a bit more attractive than an English word, because
That's
English
true,
words
yeah.
tend to be quite ugly and boring. But
Maybe just because we speak English, innit?
but yeah, that's basically what that is touching up on.
What else is there?
Oh, we've got one more that you sent me. You've got, as a man gets into a row with a dog owner who left his pet tied up in this baking 25-degree heat. So who's in the wrong? Yeah. And it's
Well, it depends how long he tied the dog up for.
he was away for 10 minutes. He was in the post office, and what is this man's name? Hold on, here he is.
What do you think?
That an animal care student happened to pass by.
These animal care students.
Because I was going to say, who the hell carries a thermometer around with him, an infrared one, on a daily basis?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So he measured the
Wow.
the heat of the pavement, which goes up to 50 degrees, which is enough to burn the dog's paw.
Really?
Yeah.
And how much was it? 25?
No, it went up to 50, like the floor.
Oh,
Yeah.
and that's what the dog was on.
Yeah.
That's dangerous, I suppose.
It is. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
if there's nowhere else to tie up the dog, you can't go into the post office. I mean,
You got to be a responsible pet owner if you're a pet owner.
Yeah.
yeah, but obviously the guy just told the student to F off and whatever. And
Really?
he accused him of trying to steal the dog.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, can he do 10 minutes? I'm sure the dog would be okay. Yeah.
I feel like you don't see many like arguments on the street, like like that here in London. But when you do, they're very quick. Like for example, like someone could get annoyed at someone for something else, and they're like, these people are beefing with each other,
Mhm.
they're shouting at each other and stuff. But if you go to countries like the Arab countries and stuff, it doesn't really like. It's more frequent that people kind of get a bit annoyed with each other, but it never really blows out of proportion. Like it's just like, oh, it is, and then it's like, oh,
It just
whatever.
happens and then it's just done.
Yeah. You see that a lot in it.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
even in Pakistan, like I think there's like a level of like everyone just sees each other as like their own community. So it's like, do you get what I mean? Or
Yeah,
nah?
yeah.
I mean, it sounds a bit mumbly what I'm saying, but anyway, that was a quick roundup of current events, and alhamdulillah, the podcast, unfortunately, guys, is over. This was episode 61 of Fresh Garden. Faisal, thank you so much for jumping on the episode with us. How did you find it?
I loved it.
Yeah?
It was an honor, yeah.
What did it feel like?
That's tough. What did it feel like? It felt like giving a part of me to you.
Wow, okay. I meant like, oh, did it just feel like two lads sitting on a sofa? But
Bit
you
more
gave me
deeper.
you are a poet.
So
Yeah. Just to end the podcast, if you could describe your life so far in a sound effect, what would it be? Woo! Okay. All right. Cool.
that's what it is. What about you?
Mine would be What about you, Nate?
In sound effects.
Describe. Because, well, I was going to do facial expression, but this is a podcast, so you have to go with the sound effect now. Is that it?
Oh, it is now.
That is quite a good one because you are a thinker.
Yeah.
You're a deep thinker.
I am, I think. Well, I don't
I
know.
like that.
So you go woo and That's a great note to end the podcast. Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for keeping it for listening, for watching. And I know I said that Sam will be back this week, but as is paternity, we don't know what it's like because we are not fathers here. But inshallah, he has literally said that he's going to be back next week. So inshallah, he'll be back next week. With that being said, thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, guys.
This is Fresh Guardians, episode 61. Wow.